All right, so today I have with me Jonathan Hedrick, who you might know from books like The Recount. He's got a crazy range because he'll do more of like a political horror like that or sci-fi horror with quicksand, but he might also do a really cute kids book like Space Cadet. So yeah, how are you doing today?
Good, good. How are you doing?
I'm talking to you, so I'm doing great.
Thank you, thank you. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I was trying to get a bunch of your books behind me, but they kept falling,
Oh,
so I can only do one. So
oh,
I
that's a good
have
one though.
I have
Yep.
this cover is just really cool. Yeah, like the negative space thing.
Yeah. That Brian Silverback's thought of that one, the cover artist. And that's an homage to the movie Belly with DMX and Nas. So I'm not 100% sure, but I think Brian intentionally picked that layout for that cover so he could do had plenty of space for remarks on it.
Oh,
So there might
that's
have
so
been like,
smart.
yeah, that might have been like a, some money idea spinning in his head. I'm not 100% sure, but
I mean,
yeah.
when I'm getting stuff signed, I always look at the books and I'm like, oh yeah, this one has a good placement. And then sometimes it's like, this one's too busy. It's gonna look really garbage. So like, yeah, I definitely think about that as like a fan when I'm getting
Yeah,
stuff signed.
it's smart. Yeah, it's smart to be that forward thinking in the process. So
As
yeah.
the writer, do you get a lot of say about what goes on the cover?
Yes and no. For a lot of my comic books, they are my intellectual property. Uh, Most of them that I've been involved with. So I do get like it's like a 50-50 agreement between me and the publisher. So usually 9 times out of 10, a cover gets sent to me already after it's either completed or the layout it's in the works, and uh, I usually am not involved with the process. It's just like a checkbox. Like, did we get the creator to approve of this cover? Sometimes they'll ask my opinion or recommend an artist or a concept idea. But yeah, when it gets in the involvement with like like a scout book or Source Point Press, it's like more. I'm more behind the scenes. Just let me see it when it's done.
Have you ever said no to a cover art then?
I have, yes.
Ooh.
Yes. There was one cover. They only told me the concept, and I think I may have seen a layout or something of it, but it was and you can imagine some of the things that people want to pull off with the recount, with it being a very
Yeah.
um it's a political thriller. Even though I wrote it not non-agenda based, but someone wanted to do a Kyle Rittenhouse homage, like right after he just got found like
Ooh.
not guilty during that trial. I was like, no way, not even 20 years down the road would this be appropriate. So, and it was just so painfully like it was taxing in this book for the recount to keep it very non-agenda based, you know. Yeah, and I'm non-agenda, no party affiliated. I just didn't want to make anyone think that it was leaning one way or the other. So to put something like that on the cover would blow all that effort in the past. So
Also immediately after is a little tasteless, it's a little
exactly. So
yeah.
and that particular retailer, yeah, things came out down the road with that person, so I'm glad it was a hard no. So yeah, it all
That's
worked out.
good. It's always kind of nice to hear that people have like, I don't know, morals with like what their work is rather than just, making as fast of a buck as they can kind of thing.
Right, of course. Yeah, I gotta think down the road that would have been really damaging. So yeah.
So speaking of artists and stuff, do you have any artists that you would really like to work with for interior work?
Absolutely. Well, the first one on the list would be my wife, Francesca Fantini,
I've seen
who,
her Instagram. She is a lovely artist. I'll
yeah,
actually link her in the description down below if you guys want to check out some of her art as well.
yes, please do. So in case people don't know, she's the artist on Stake at Scout Comics, written by David Byrne, and I actually wrote Francesca a one-shot comic book. So whenever she's not busy, she could work on that if she chose to. So because people ask us all the time, when are we going to collaborate? When are we going to collaborate? And it's hard. She's has her paid projects to do, and I can't afford to hire my wife. So when there's the time, there'll be a comic book for us to work on together, but the script's already ready. So yeah, I really like her work. Who else? I'm sure after this I'm going to think of someone and be like, oh, I should have thought of
That's what I do
them.
every time. Yeah.
I really would like to work with Skylar Patridge. She's fantastic. I don't know. I could go on and on. If I could talk like super big leagues, it would be like Greg Capullo.
Oh, he would do great with your work. Yeah.
Yeah, oh,
Very like
man,
dark, edgy kind of thing.
I would love that. That'd be a dream come true. But yeah, we'll see someday, maybe. Who knows?
What was it like working with the Comic Tom team for your exclusives? I know you did a recount and a Space Cadet for them.
Right. Yeah, so that was a pretty easy thing because Comic Tom has a partnership with Scout Comics. So I even have to even really do any part of that whatsoever. It was just like, here's the cover that Tom wants to do. Are you okay with it? I'm like, yep, let's do it. Because I know like the one for Space Cadet was done by Nate Made It.
Yeah.
And that was an awesome homage to Watchmen, which I mean, I'm a huge fan of Watchmen. It fit perfectly with, it was like a Dr. Manhattan on Mars type thing going on, but the Space Cadet on the moon. So I was thrilled to death of that cover. And the one with that Comic Tom did that's a slide of Brian Silverback's Scarface cover. That was really cool because Brian just came up and gave me that extra cover for that one, like months down the road. It's like, hey, in case you can do something with this, here it is. And because that Scarface homage was a huge hit. That's probably I give a lot of credit to Recount success because of his cover. So it was like a way to do almost like a sequel to a cover in a way. And then they were able to do 3 versions of that sequel cover. They did like a red blood, a negative, and I'm missing something. there's another version of it too. But yeah, it was really cool to like be able to come back and do another like an homage to an homage cover.
Yeah, actually, no, that's how a lot of my friends got introduced to your work and the recount, because that's a very accessible box to be in. So
yes, yeah, it helps. Yeah.
You mentioned Watchmen. I know you actually collect comics yourself. Do you have any? Sorry. Yes. Do you have any favorite books of yours?
Oh man, yes. My collection is organized by like keys, and then like 3 short boxes that are rotating, either going towards the key box or the seller boxes, and then I have my seller boxes. So things I'm super proud of is like I have a signed first appearance of Man Bat by Neil Adams.
Ooh, okay.
What else? I have the second appearance of Silver Surfer signed by Stan Lee. One that I hunted down for a long time was the first appearance of Batmite. A lot of Batman books are my favorites. I have a full run of the Sandman, the original one, with multiple copies of some of the issues, like three copies of Sandman #8, the first appearance of Death. Have a lot of the Error copies that people don't know about.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, actually, I just read Sandman for the first time and I loved it. Like it's immediately enthralled. Good.
Yeah.
Who's your friend on your lap?
So, guess what her name is, Tessa?
Is her name Tessa?
Yes.
Hell yes.
That's her name.
So we're immediately friends because we share a name. So
exactly. Yeah, she hears my voice and she has to be a part of every interview. So.
Oh, I love that. I didn't know you came with a guest. Okay.
Yeah, whether I like it or not.
Do you have any books you're hunting for?
Let's see. I'm always on the hunt for first appearance of Swamp Thing, that House of Secrets book. Had an opportunity a long time ago before it got even more expensive. I should have pulled the trigger on that then. Let's see. I'm trying not to be a completist anymore. I got rid of a lot of things I was just looking for complete runs for. However, I do want a full run of all the milestone books from the 90s.
Ooh.
And I have a good chunk of those. So I'm always hunting after those. And the problem with that is I need a list, and I keep on buying a lot of copies I already have. And then I have a weird thing I collect is the Topps comics from the 1990s when Topps was a publisher. And I pick up all of those because a lot of them are in dollar bins and they're just fun. And they had so many cool properties. They had, you know, Dracula, Frankenstein, based off of those movies from the 90s. They had Mars Attacks, X-Files,
Yeah, I have
Friday the 13th.
the Ray Bradbury ones I really like. Like it's just a bunch of like all over the place stuff.
Yeah, things like that, you know. So I don't have many high dollar keys I'm hunting for, but just fun things that are easy to collect.
That's what makes comic collecting so fun, you know, just kind of digging and talking to people and finding all these specific niche things you're looking for and all that.
Exactly, the hunt.
Yeah. So as I was saying earlier, your range is absolutely wild.
Yeah.
How do you write such crazy horror, sci-fi, wild stuff, and then also
Mm.
kid stuff? And do you have a favorite genre to write?
I think my genres are so diverse because I don't want to be pigeonholed into one genre. You know, my first couple of books were zombie books, and I didn't want to just only do zombie books. Says the guy with the zombie banner behind him. um, but I love zombies, and I think what happens is I go through the process of writing a script or a mini series, and then I get burnt out on that genre of whatever it was, and I immediately need to just get motivated by something else. For example, the Space Cadet came right after I was trying to decompress from writing the recount, which was super heavy, you know, material, violent, and the political views of it all. So I needed something to completely wash that taste out of my mouth, and the Space Cadet came from that. So then after the Space Cadet, you know, I was like, before I get involved with another serious, more realistic book, let me do something really far-fetched, and that's when I started working on Quicksand. So, and then I sprinkled in Capable, a superhero book in there too. So, yeah, I think it all depends on mood and what I'm, you know, excited about at the time. As far as favorite genres, I would definitely say horror is my favorite genre because there's so many subgenres of that too. You know, I love horror films, and I'm all over the place with those favorites of those. Sometimes I just want, you know, the slasher. Sometimes I want supernatural. Sometimes I want found footage, that kind of thing. So, yeah, I think that's more of a diverse genre, and I even kind of describe Recount as being a grounded horror book sometimes too. You know, if you look at it, it is pretty horrific what happens in there, and if that happened in the real world, it would be horrifying.
Absolutely terrifying. That's
Yes.
really interesting because it seems like you create media the way most people consume it. Those people are like, oh man, I'm watching a lot of spooky stuff, so I'm gonna go watch some cute, and you just make it, which is
Thank you.
very interesting.
Yeah, I mean, you have to keep yourself, you know, you need to pull from different areas too for inspiration. So if you're always just getting your stuff from one source, you're going to be, you know, you're going to have blinders on, and you won't, you know, really grow from that.
You did say that you like horror movies. Do you have any favorites?
um yes, and the one that I bring up the most is because I don't think a lot of people have seen it, and it's one that like haunted me for 3 days straight afterwards. It's called Eden Lake. Michael Fassbender stars in it, and it was before he got really big too, as you know, like X-Men famous for playing Magneto. And it's one of those realistic horror movies. There's nothing supernatural about it. You know, no serial killers. It's just this couple that's on a vacation, minding their own business, and just things go south for them. And sometimes that's the kind of horror that shakes me the most. You know, the things that could actually happen are sometimes the scariest.
Yeah, I
So
actually feel exactly the same way because like I like watching the far-fetched ones because I don't like I find them more fun than scary almost. And
Mm,
like there's the most recent like Invisible Man movie was very much more so like, oh
yes.
man, this is a guy like stalking this girl and like not leaving her alone and like abusive boyfriend. I was like, this is way more terrifying because this is just
Yeah.
some guy. Like obviously
Right.
the invisible part is like a little wild, but in
But like they
general,
try to
just
explain it too with like technology, so
yeah.
it's not too far fetched.
But yeah, we are mainly here to promote your new book that comes out November something
30th,
30th. All
November
right, end of
30th. Yeah.
November. So
Mhm.
plenty of time to go order it at your local comic shop.
Please do.
I'll have a previews link below if you want to go peek it out. But what's it about? What's your little pitch?
So it's called Dream Master, and it's from Black Box Comics. I'm really excited about it because this is one that's not my intellectual property. It's one that was brought to me, and I was hired to write. Um, and it's basically about this hero, this unsung hero who is protecting us while we sleep from our own nightmares because we can actually die in our nightmares. We just don't realize it. And every time we wake up from a nightmare, we don't realize how close we were to actual death. And it's all because of the hero called the Dream Master. So we follow him bouncing through other people's nightmares and dreams. And it's a really cool concept because you can turn the page and you're being in a completely different setting. And when I was writing this first volume of it, I really wanted readers to have that dream effect where it's blurry and it's confusing, but not like the writing and the artwork isn't blurry and confusing, but it's unpredictable. There's still a plot in there, but you can just be anywhere on the next page, and so it's so much fun to write because I was encouraged to give the writer, plenty of splash pages and double splash pages, which is a, a writer's favorite thing to write because it's less dialogue and less art direction. But I got paired up with a fantastic artist named Luigi Baricelli, who is just phenomenal. He's perfect for this type of story because he likes grotesque and oddities, and he likes to fill in all like those micro centimeters with little details. And he puts more in there than I could in every page, and I could put in art direction. So I think people are really going to dig it if you're a fan of horror, and if you like your horror mixed with a little bit of fantasy. And what I like to compare it to, what I got my inspiration from when I was writing it, is Stephen King's The Dark Tower. I'm a huge fan of those books and the comic books that followed. And I kind of modeled in my head. I don't mean it for it to translate perfectly this way, but the Dream Master is like Roland Deschain in a way, where he's on this journey, but he doesn't know when this journey is going to end. He doesn't even know where Roland Deschain in the Dark Tower needs to go to the Dark Tower. He needs to save it. Dream Master just needs to save his dreamers, but he's not sure why he's doing it, and he hopes to find why he's cursed with this task.
So I noticed that it said it was a 5-issue miniseries. Is it going to be like a true 5-issue miniseries, 5 and done, or do you think there's room for the story to grow after that?
I've wrote more scripts beyond issue 5, so we've talked about making it an ongoing series. It's just that in small press, it's hard to do ongoing series. So the plan is to tell it in 5-issue increments. So I'm working right now on the second volume already.
I think that's really smart. I've been noticing a lot of smaller publishers, even ones as big as like Vault and Aftershock, been doing a lot of stuff in like 5 or 6 issue series. And then if people like that, do like a year 2 kind of thing.
Yeah, I think it's a smarter way to go when you don't have the resources like the big two have, especially if you appreciate the artwork, where these artists can't churn over pages fast enough to push out a book every single month. And it also gives the modern consumer, that binge feeling. I can get 5 issues done, or I can read a trade, and
Yeah.
then I know in maybe 6 months or a year another volume will come. I can binge that.
Yeah, it's
So
your whole season at one go. Yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
Is this your first time working with Black Mass Studio?
Black Box.
Black Box. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say that.
I hope to work with Black Mask. Black Mask, if you're listening, return my email. But yes, first time working with Black Box, and I hope to continue working with them. Having a lot of fun with this book. Would love to get start on a second title with them too.
Yeah, I feel like they have only very recently begun to get on the map. I just got Biggs and Tiny and another book I can't think of course, at the top of my head. So they're starting to put stuff out, but I feel like they've been putting out some like quality stuff, which is very promising.
The one that's been coming out recently is called Ninja Kaiden. That's a cool like supernatural meets Iron Man type story. Brian Hawkins wrote Devil's Dominion with them.
Yeah, okay, I did
Dr.
grab that
Wilder.
one.
Yeah, they had Gin Hunter. So there's a lot of, all their books are like different genres, different stories too. So people can like pick and choose which ones they like the most.
Do you have any publishers that you've really specifically enjoyed working with at all?
I mean, there's good and bad, pros and cons with all of them. And I don't want to say anything bad about any of them, because a lot of them, a lot of it, as far as the downside, is usually just because of growing pains or the resources of being a small indie publisher. But I have to give a lot of credit to Scout, who the first publisher that I got signed with, and I've put out multiple books with them, and I have another one that hasn't been announced yet that's going to come out next year. And what's really good about them, what I really appreciate is they do more than just the comic books. They solicit the IPs to Hollywood and things like that. And in November of last year, Recount got attached with a director and everything for a film. So that wouldn't have happened if I was just doing it myself. I don't have that Hollywood contacts and things like that. So
they also put out like probably more merch than indie
yes.
Like if you go on their website, like every single title they've ever had, you can get anything you want. There's like hats and mouse pads and mugs, and there's everything you can think of.
I have a pair of Recount shoes, literally. I have Recount sneakers, and I don't wear them because the size I ordered didn't fit me, so I put them on my tables when I go signing at events, and it stops people. And then people are like, whoa, because a lot of people go to shows and they're not comic book fans. Sometimes they're just there with their friend. They might be a sneakerhead, and then they pick up the shoe and they think it's super cool. They haven't seen it before. Before you know it, I'm explaining to them about the book and other things I have on my table, and they walk away maybe a new fan or a new comic book reader or something like that.
Yeah, smart, like conversational starter.
Exactly.
That's wild. Yeah, I gotta think that's probably the most specific kind of merch I could possibly think of.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Actually, my first work that I ever read of yours was one of the Freak Show books.
Yes.
And I honestly, I didn't even buy it. Someone at the store was like, "Oh, this was pretty good. You should read this." And I was like, "Okay." It just like wasn't on my radar. And then I read it and I was like, "Oh damn, like you're right. Like I never would have thought to pick up this book, and it's really good." And that was like my gateway drug to you.
Oh,
after that point, I think Recount was the next thing I checked out from you. But yeah, it was definitely like, wow, I wasn't specifically interested in this book. This wasn't anyone I was interested in. I wasn't specifically drawn to the art. Like there was nothing else drawing me. It was entirely just the writing. And I was just like, all right, okay, we'll check out this guy. Like,
oh, thank you so much. Yeah, I really appreciate that. And I think that's what's so great about indie comic books. It's like a lot of it's still word of mouth. We can market ourselves to death on social media, but we really need someone to be like pumped about it and tell their friend or the someone else at the shop, this was good, or if you like this, if you liked Walking Dead, maybe you like Freak Show Princess. That those types of conversations, are so invaluable right now in the comic book industry.
That's a very much real thing. I run a comic shop and it has 2 locations at the moment. And I mainly stay at one, honestly, at this point, because it's much busier. But just the things we sell that are because someone likes them, it's just like astronomical. Like it doesn't matter. Obviously, it does matter how popular something is or like movies or whatever.
Sure.
But I order so many indie books that I just really like. And they sell really well because having someone be like, I personally like this book. If you don't like it, return it. I'll let you get another book. I don't care because I like this book that much that I'll say that. and then they'll just be like, oh, okay, and then people just keep on coming back for more recommendations. Like that's very much how it works at shops near, at least near me, where it's just, we really like this book, these are our staff picks, and like they just sell way better than anything else, because especially people who don't really read comics, they come into our current locations are in a mall, and so a lot of it is just foot traffic. It's just people who are like, yeah, I know Batman.
Yeah, right.
And they come in and just being like, oh, okay, cool, this dude likes this thing, all right, let's try it. And it's like the easiest way, rather than looking at the many graphic novels we have, and then it's like overwhelming. So
yeah, it can be very overwhelming, especially for the the mainstream audience. They walk out of Black Adam and they're like, oh, that was really cool, now I want to consume more Black Adam. They go to the comic book store, where do I begin? And you have to deep dive, and before that there was Shazam, before that he was called Captain Marvel, but not that Captain Marvel. But you can bring them to the indie counter. I'm like, well, if you like that kind of stuff, maybe you'll like this comic book too. And this is a 1 through 5 issue, and you can pick it all up and get the whole story.
Oh yeah, it's so easy to figure out just creators you like, and then there's so many people that just like, oh, I really like Jeremy Holt, I'll order anything they do because I just like what they do. Like it's just, you find people you like, and all right, easy, done, sold.
Exactly.
But yeah, it was funny that you mentioned the Black Adam thing, because that Elvis Presley movie that came out recently, I hadn't seen it, but apparently they showed him like reading a comic as a kid. And it was a Captain Marvel Jr. comic from like the 40s or 50s. I don't know, I didn't see the book. But someone came in like, oh, I really liked that movie. Could I get that book from you guys? Like, oh, no, you can't. That's almost 100 years old. Like, that is many dollars.
Right.
And they were blown away. They were like, what do you mean? Do you have anything from that series? Like, no, that's 100 years old. Like, 80 years old. But it was just like, wow, that's so, people just walk in and they're just like, oh yeah, I'll grab this. Like, I don't think you will.
Yeah. Good luck.
But yeah, do you have any final things you want to say about your new book? Any teaser bits you can give us to get people hyped?
Yeah, pre-order Dream Master at your local comic book shop. I think FOC for issue 1 isn't quite there yet. And the first 3 issues can be pre-ordered now on previews. Every cover A is a wraparound cover by the interior artist, so that in itself is worth picking up. And like I said, Luigi is killing it with the interior artwork, and his covers are phenomenal. There's an awesome variant cover for each issue too. We got Diego da Silva on one of them. And if you're a fan of the blank sketch covers, we got one coming out in December. Then if you didn't pick up Hyperware last week from Source Point Press, that came out. I wrote that. It's a one shot I did with Deborah Lanchinese, who's the artist on Quicksand with me. And then pick up Caffeinated Hearts, which
I
just
love
dropped.
Caffeinated Hearts. Oh, I forgot about that one.
Thank you. Yeah, that, and then in case you didn't pick it up, Lower Your Sights is an anthology by Mad Cave that I was had a small part in. It raises money for children impacted by the war in Ukraine, so please pick that up. And just keep an eye on me on social media, because I got some other things coming.
My God, you're a busy man.
Tell me about it.
When did you first step foot into comics professionally?
I started writing in the comic book format around 2018.
It's wild that you have that much stuff, especially while there was a pandemic that definitely slowed things down. Stuff in like 4 years.
The pandemic did help as far as building relationships though with the LCSs, especially when Diamond shut down. A lot of brick and mortar stores were like, we need anything new in. So they put a call out to indie shops, and I had, a couple copies of my self-published stuff, and I sent that out to everyone. And and then things kind of progressed from there. So it actually was, blessing in disguise in that way.
Thanks, COVID.
Yeah, right. For that small part, though, that's all you get. Everything else,
not a fan.
You're still a jerk.
2 thumbs down.
Yeah,
still a jerk. But yeah, I will have links below of your website and social media, and I will also have links to the previews for this book. If your LCS does not have it, let me know. My shop will be ordering extra. I have no problem shipping them out for people. But yeah, thank you so much for sitting down with me. I'm really excited for your new book. I've been digging your work, so this is awesome.
Yeah, thanks, Tessa. I'm glad we were able to do this.
Yeah, thank you so much. All right, have a good one.
You too.